Good evening everyone and welcome to another podcast. A bit warmer today, thank goodness. It's been a funny old spring so far. It's been cold water, fish haven't really been moving. Everything's a bit late this year. So I've pushed up further north in my range to some of the smaller streams which tend to not be affected by the cold water. Fish tend to get going a bit sooner here than some of the main rivers. So going for a bit of dry fly tonight. Well, mainly dry fly I think, and then I might drop a nymph on in some deeper pools. But the river here is beautiful really. It's only 10 to 15 feet across, not too deep, probably only a foot or two. And I've got a nice big glide above me. Trees all over the river. It's loads of trees here. It's small stream fishing really. And the birds are singing, the flowers are out on the bank, and the trees are just coming into bud. I've got my little 7-footer, 7-foot 3-weight Vision Onky with just a Rio Gold weight forward 3, and I've got my 9-foot tapered leader on with about 3 or 4 feet of tip. It's a fairly long leader for this rod, but it turns over lovely anyway. I'm stood at the bottom of a glide. I could already see 2 or 3 fish rising ahead of me. It's tricky fishing this, it's not easy. The fish are easily spooked. So, and they're rising right underneath the branches, so very hard casting. I'll start well back, so I'll pull some line off. I've got my double badger on. There's not a huge amount in terms of hatches, but there's a few midges around and small stuff really. So I'll start with the double badger, which is a great fly for when they're either rising to small stuff or when you're just kind of searching really and trying to put something over a rising fish and you're not sure exactly what. A lot of times this double badger's enough. Right then, I can see a few rising further up, but what I'm going to do is just cover the water at the bottom of this glide first, just in case there's something in the pool lower down that wants to have a look at this fly. I'll creep up the stream as I'm going. Bit of a breeze actually. I wasn't expecting a breeze. The current on this bit of river it's fairly even all the way down. I'd say, looking at it, there's a bubble stream just collecting on the right bank under the bushes, and that's where the fish seem to be rising. So that's where I'm going to try as best I can to put my fly. There's not really consistent feeders around at the minute. They're either just onces rising or rising very sporadically. So hard to take on a dry, but I still think that's probably the best tactic. Right, I'm just going to increase the length of this tippet. I'll give it one more shot. I'm not entirely sure whether this tippet is long enough. A dipper flying past me, nearly bumped into me. It's amazing how often that happens when you stood in the river. They don't quite see you to the last minute. Yeah, so I'm going to this leader I've got on is the one I used last time I was out obviously, and I'm not convinced it's quite long enough, so I'm just going to take 2 minutes and replace my leader. I'm creeping up this pool because it's really spooky fishing, and I can see, like I said, there's a couple of fish just rising towards the top of the pool, but it's a very tricky cast, and I've got a downstream wind, so casting into the wind as well. Got to make sure this turns over. Just time my casts until the wind drops off a bit. Try not to get in the river. I'm just on a little bit of a gravel bank at the minute. So I'm kind of half prospecting into the likely areas and half targeting at the minute. I know there's one or two with their eyes up, but they're not consistent, like I said. So yeah, the wind is just being a bit of a pain, actually, to be honest. Just seen a nice big large dark olive hatch out in front of me. Right, I'm just gently and slowly, methodically working my way up the stream. I've got my collapsible wading stick today because the big telescopic one is a bit too big and heavy, and I only need it in a couple of pools just to navigate my way through, so I don't want to be dragging that around with me. So I've just got the little telescopic one in my pocket. River's starting to, stream's starting to a little wide a bit here, and then it's just starting to narrow a touch. And there's a big fallen tree right over the stream with a beautiful little fast riffle running underneath the tree. And I'm definitely going to just explore the riffles with this little dry as well. I might lose sight of the fly, but I'll certainly see the back of any fish that comes up and grabs it. So let's just work my way up this riffle and just see if there's anything in here. Banks are as kind of meadows right up to the riverbank here, and lots of wildflowers just starting to come out, and it's blue with beautiful flowers in places. So the fish are really not got moving this year. They're very late. Everything's late. Hawthorns are late. The olives, the granum have been late here. And the fish are obviously late as well. So they are still hanging back in some of the deeper water. I've noticed that the riffles, which are normally very productive areas, the water temperature is just too cold. So they've not hit these spots yet, but it's worth having a little poke tonight just because it's been a slightly warmer day and the levels have dropped here a little, so there might be the odd fish just in the riffles as well. Okay, we're gonna wind in and head up to the next pool. No, there's nothing rising here at all. That's a surprise, because if anything's rising, it's normally in this little pool. I shall keep working my way up, keeping my eyes peeled. Something's just, wasn't so much of a rise as a little dimple. Just off one of the bubble streams. This wind is a real pain. I'm having to wait until that's better cast. Having to wait until the wind dies down to get the cast out, because with this light gear, no matter what I do, it's just blowing the leader around too much. I'm just a couple of feet short of this rising fish. That's covered him. Yes, I'm in. I covered him and he's taking that straight away. Ah, little brownie, come to the net. Come on, little one. There we go, fantastic. Good. Let's unhook him and get him straight back. Super. So it was just a case of waiting really until I saw where the first one rose, and then I did a couple that were a bit short, but then first time I covered him properly, they've taken the fly. I'm pleased with that one because it was not the easiest cast with this wind. Right, so he's gone back, so I'm just going to hang fire for a minute or two because I think the air's just come up again. There was 2 fish, so if I can just give it a minute or two, just let the pool settle, I might be able to catch or at least get a bit of a response from the other one. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to sort this leader out. I'm just adding a little bit of degreaser to the tippet to get it under the surface. They're only little, the fish in this stream, you know, a pound would be a cracker. That one was about 6 or 7 inches. But great fun on this lovely light gear all the same. And that fly is well and truly slimed, so I'm going to put the fly on the patch and get another little double badger. Flies I'm using, they're a size 16. Right, so I've stood and rested it for a bit, and there's one that's come up one time right in the middle of the river, just under an overhanging branch, typical, and I can see one just flicking up occasionally over on the right bank. I've got about 40 feet of this pool left. There's a lovely bend with a big riffle and some hawthorn trees just at the side of the river. I'm just having a minute just looking at the countryside. Actually, it's very pretty with this sunlight on there. It's the first day I felt a little bit of warmth in the air. Right, I'm just covering a fish that's just popped up ahead of me again. I'm just a foot short on the first cast. I'll let this just come down a bit further, tap it off the water, and then try and cover it on the second one. You're gonna take it. Yes, hammer it again. Bit scrappier this one. They do put such a fight up, these wild brown trout, on light gear like this. That's it, you come into the net, friend. There we go. Yes, it's a bit bigger than the last one. Yeah, the hook had already come out in the net, so it's just a case of leaving him in the net for a few seconds and he's away. I think that's the 2 outliers covered, and I've had them both, which is lovely. So let's slowly progress, but what I'm going to do is just cover some of the water in case there's another one that's not rising. This wading stick can go back in its holster because I don't need it now. bit of a ruckus further up. There seems to be an argument between a few of the ducks. Right, slow and steady. And progress up. Oh, another one just risen there on the right hand side. I should be able to drop my fly. Again, just a bit short there. This cast. Not far off him. The wind just caught it. Bit to the right, he's rising, but he's rising about 3 foot up and 2 foot in, so I just need to reposition myself because this is a awkward cast under the tree. That's not far off him. Are you going to have a look at that? No. That's not far off. Yes, right, I'm just going to rest for a minute. Sometimes it's the best thing to do when you're dry fly fishing and you've got a rising fish that's risen a good few times and then goes off the boil. Well, if you just can rest and resist the temptation to cast, they'll often come back on the feed and then you've got another chance with them. And while I'm doing that, I've got a few twists in this fly line, so I'm going to nip my fly off. Let some line out down the river and just let it take the twists out. It's really difficult to do that when you're excited, especially find it with when I'm guiding with beginners and they're desperately trying to catch fish and there's rising fish and the fish stop and it's just like just give it 2 or 3 minutes, just stop fishing. It's so hard to do because you obviously want to catch them, you want to get that line out, don't you? Alright, let's let some line out, get some twists out of this. Yeah, he's just come up again, so I'll put my fly back on. I've got the twists out of my line. Oh, I missed him. See if we'll have another look at that. It was quite a big splash actually. I don't know whether he actually took the fly or just kind of swirled at it. But I 100% missed it. Yeah, I think I had my chance with him at that rise, so I'm going to put a couple more out and then I'm going to move up. So I haven't moved from here and I've had 2 fish and missed 1, so that's a nice little flurry of activity. Right, let's just slowly move up and I'll keep prospecting, but there's a lovely kind of just below the riffle as it slows down, there's a nice bit of bubbly water that hopefully is going to hold a fish I can cover. And I have seen one having a bit of a sip further up the stream, so might be one more out of this pool. So I don't know how your fishing's been, but for rivers it's been pretty slow going so far. A lot of the guiding and coaching sessions we've got have been cancelled due to high water or rearranged onto the still water. And it's been cold and high, but it's just turning now. I think another week and the rivers will be really starting to come alive. Oh, there's a lovely bubbly glide in front of me. I say the leaves are out on the trees, so it's almost like a tunnel of green really on this little bit, and there's a lovely riffle further up, and then the sunlight's just catching the bubbles on the water as they come down. And it looks good. Let's just see if anything's in there that fancies my double badger. If I drop it right onto the bubble stream. Short casting here, I can't really go much further than just about 10 foot of fly line plus leader really. I'm just keeping as low as I can and keep it as low as I can and trying to really minimise my movements. And then I'm really letting the fly come right down and then just doing a very gentle roll cast off the surface. So I'm not ripping any line off. So hopefully not going to spook anything. That's right on the zone that. But like I said, they seem to be hanging back almost in the main deep belly of the pool at the minute. This is where they're going to be, maybe when the water's warmed up a bit, but you know, in years gone by, this kind of water here is ripe for fish in this river. So they are definitely just holding back from the riffles and the faster stuff. But I'm just wondering if there's one that's decided to have a feed in here today. Well, I'm glad I spent the time getting that leader right, because it's a lot better now. Got a lot more confidence in it. Well, it doesn't look like they've moved into the quicker stuff still, so I'm fished my way up a bit faster now because I'm getting to the quite fast pocket water, just in case something's in here. Fish my way through it, and then we have another lovely dry fly. I nearly fell in. Dry fly type pool above us with a bit of slower water to go at. I could really do with my wading stick here, or at least looking where I'm wading. I'm watching the fly and not looking at where I'm wading. Just shows you they're walking through this water here. You think it's thin, and it is thin for the most part, and then you're putting your foot down a hole that's a good 1.5 to 2 foot deep. It just shows you why and how the trout will lie in this fast looking water, because there's all these pockets and holes for them to sit in, and they can just pick off all that food as it comes past. I think it's important to remember that these fast, riffly, bubbly, rocky, weedy bits of water where the river's tumbling through, these are the larders really of the river. These are your major food production zones, and the fish love it in here. I say a bit early yet, but give it 3 or 4 weeks and that bit of water I've just covered will be ripe for a few fish. Right then. So what we got ahead of us here, some looks like quite shallow water. There's 2 distinct bubble streams, one on the left, one on the right. One on the right is flowing under a overhanging willow. That's going to be the harder one of the 2. And I'm just going to give it a pause and watch for a minute, see if anything's going to rise before I start casting. I think I'll cover this. Cover the left one first. And the wind is... Oh, there's a fish just on my right hand side. It's about a rod's length away really. Hammer in. He took it. I only flicked it, almost flicked the leader out and covered it. Yeah, Mum. Actually, it's not too bad actually. I netted it super quick because I didn't want it to go down into the quick water. It's probably the best one of the day. Okay. Very gentle wading. I can my bow waves going up the river here. I'll see if I can drop one just under the willows. I can get a bit more adventurous now. I've got my eye in. That's perfect. Just coming down under the willows. Nothing there. And anyone who's listened to me before will know I have a preference for fast water. I love fishing quick water. So I have to really reel myself in a little bit when it comes to fishing the slow stuff, and just take some deep breaths and have the patience. Because I can always see these lovely fast riffles ahead of me, and I'm the opposite to most anglers. I more tend to walk through slow water to fish the fast stuff, when a lot of anglers will walk through the fast pocket water to fish the slow stuff, as it were. Right, still prospecting up. I'm alternating here from left to right because there's still these two tongues of current. Smells like the farmer's been muck spreading as well. I really don't mind that smell. I don't know why. I don't know whether it's because I was raised next to fields where I'm from. There was always that smell around, and I say I like it, but I kind of do in a weird way. It doesn't bother me. Just all these things remind you of your childhood, a bit like fishing really, I guess. Right, let's keep going for a couple more casts, and then it is definitely walk through. Not even I fancy there's a fish in this stuff because it's about an inch high. The river's just widened here, and it's about an inch, so I'll wind in, wade through this, and then we've got another long pool ahead to fish the dry up. So I'm into what would normally be the absolute hotspot where you'd probably pick up 3 or 4 fish here, but seeming pretty quiet. And I said everything that's been caught has been caught right at the back end of the pools in the slightly deeper stuff. So let's see, there's just that. I think once we start getting them out of here, we know that we're really starting to hit towards that good spring fishing time, instead of a bit of spring and a bit of winter. There's got to be one here. I really want there to be a fish here. If you could draw a picture of a really fishy run where is the prime zone under normal circumstances, then it's in front of me. Overhanging little bushes and trees, 2 or 3 feet of water, and just gentle bubble streams snaking down, bringing food from the riffle above. But I've gone through it and there's nothing rising here, so it may be still the case that they're not here. But I've had a lovely evening. What have I had? Three or four, I think. Little wild brownies. Missed a couple, kept me interested, and it just feels like the river's just starting to turn now, and another week or two and we'll be into a good bit of action, I think. So thank you for listening. If you want more info about our fly fishing lessons and guided fly fishing, it's www.peaksflyfishing.com. If you wanting to purchase tackle and equipment online, it's shop.peaksflyfishing.com. Please feel free to give us a call if you need advice over the phone. It's 01143 600 590. And of course, I'd love to see you in person, so please do pop in the shop in Sheffield if you're around, if you need a hand, if you just want to pop in for a cup of tea, and I'd be delighted to see you. So thanks for listening, and until next time, goodbye.